Okay, we started the Tofresh Tzadi Aleph. Tzadi Aleph, page 313. We started about the type of ink which qualifies for the Megillah, the type of parchment qualifies for the Megillah, the thread which you stitch the various parchments together. Okay, that all has to be exactly as a Sefer Torah. Then there was a discussion, what about sirtut? It says you need sirtut. The parchment has to be scored. Now there was a question, what about ibud, the processing of the hide, of the cloth? When you process the cloth of the Sefer Torah, it has to be done l'shem Sefer Torah. If you said, one opinion was that it doesn't have to be processed for Megillah. You go to a parchment store and buy parchment for whatever it was made for, it's sufficient for the Megillah. Others says no. Tzorch ibud u'shma. It has to be made, it has to be processed specifically for the mitzvah of the writing in the Megillah. For the Megillah, it's in the Mishna Berura, we just did the Mechaber. Because it's based on a pasuk, it says it has to be like the Torah. So to what degree? That's the question. Are we dealing with the writing, right? Because are we speaking about before the writing? Even that, to include that. Ela b'diyo, Aleph, Ayin leil simulam beis, Siv Gimel, Ba'ago, Mishna Berura Shom. Ala gvil. What is gvil? Who or shelo nechlak, you know, years ago. This is when Alan was a young boy. Years ago, before school, every boy who went to school had a leather briefcase. Leather briefcase cost $4. And on the leather it said split cowhide. Right? It was made of, the briefcase was made of split cowhide. They take the hide and they split it. So now when the Gemara says in Menachos, when they split the hide, you have the inner part of the hide, and so when you split it, you have the side that faces the outer part of the hide. That's called the hairy side. And then, so the question is, and then you have the inner side, the side of the hide that faces the flesh. So for mezuzah, if let's say you write it on the outer side, not on the inner side, it's not going to be kosher. It has to be written on the inner side. It's not on the outer side. It's not kosher. Gvil, he says, is speaking where you didn't split the hide. What they did is they just shaved off the outer part, and it's really, the hide is basically intact. That's gvil, he says. Or shelo nechlak. Depends. It could be of a deer, a calf. It's much thinner. You know, I once went. You know, when I learned chulin, the second time I learned chulin. So, you know, my traders went to the slaughterhouse. So the people working the slaughterhouse, we're talking about the lowest class of goyim. We're talking about the lowest of the low of the low. So when they strip the hide off the animal, the hide weighs hundreds of pounds. The hide of a cow, you know, you think it's just like a human being skin. Because I remember when they pulled it off, just to lift the hide, when it's still, they have to attach it like with a chain. They put it in, and then it's like a pulley. It tears it off. It rips it right off the animal. Weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds, the hide. So there's no question. The hide of a cow, you know, you got to split it. I mean, there's no way you could have that hide, you know. So, but let's say it would be a deer skin, or calf skin, or goat skin. Use that for Megillah or Sefer Torah. You could use the whole hide, you know. But usually, so gvil is where the hide is not split, Lo husimenu rak hasera v'tikno. They just shaved off the hair on the outside, and they perfected it. It should be, if you ever see many years ago. Today you don't see it. They had the Megillas that were written in Egypt, going back hundreds of years old. It was written on deer skin, and it was even a different color. It was like brownish, and it was soft. It was like supple, like you have a supple leather jacket. That was the texture of the skin. If you pressed it, you could push it in. That's how soft it was, and it had a thickness that wasn't split. That was gvil. It was written on gvil. Beautiful. No, it was the whole hide. They shaved the hair off the outer side, and then they write on the inner side. They write on the inner side. But on the side which faces the flesh, that they didn't remove anything. The hide on that side is not shaved. Only the outer part of the hide was shaved, where the hair would be. The inner side is naturally smooth. The outer side is not natural. It's like the inner part of your mouth. The inner part of your mouth is smooth. No, again, it would be, no, it would be still on the inner part. It would be what's called gvil. That's called klaf. Gvil is when you have the whole hide intact, and you just shave off the outer part. No, they use make for shoes, pair of shoes, belt. They're right, still right, the inner of the inner part that was split.
So why would they?
I'm just telling you, but it's just terminology. Right? We'll see. V'tiknu shem tzarabos lohusa klum. O al klaf, ayin leil simin lamed beis. Okay, then he says if one used me'afotzim, one did not use ink. Ink is black. Me'afotzim, as I said, they take walnuts and they cook them, and when the liquid is like a dark brownish liquid, that's me'afotzim. And kantum, some other type of resin which is extracted from a tree. Ayin taz shem kesemishna machshishir me'afotzim hainu imguma, whatever it's. The me'afotzim bilchud posul chen hiskum agro yachad nikra dio. The question is, what exactly is dio? Ink. What is it comprised of? Kantum nachshin hainu b'mekantum deil kankantum bilchud b'vari posul. You have to speak to a sofer exactly what the material makeup is. Shoma me'afotzim kankantum hashneim urov miyachad. Okay. Tzrichen sirtut. It says the parchment has to be scored. Hainu akol shita v'shita. Now, when you score a parchment, first they make an outline. You have the outline on the outer part, the very top. So you're writing within these are the parameters of where you're going to write. Within the margin, not outside the margin. So you do the outer scoring, then you score every line. That's what he's pointing out here. It's not just to create the area where you're going to write. Every line has to be scored. Al koshita v'shita kitora atzmo al kain choktochus possible. The Gemara speaks about when you write a get, it says because of sefer krisus. When you write a mezuzah or a Torah, what field says uchsavton, you must write it. What's writing? So we have this in Shabbos. If a person has a blotch of ink, okay, and you chip away the ink to form a letter, are you in violation of writing on Shabbos? You brought about the letter, right? You had a blotch of ink, and now you chipped away the ink and you formed the base. So it was what? So halachos, that's not writing. That's not writing. Writing is you form the letter. The ink, no, not because the ink is there. The ink that formed the letter, that ink was on the parchment or on the paper or wherever it may have been. By removing the excess ink, the letter came about. It's not that writing means that before the letter was on the page, there was nothing there. It was due to your action. That's why the letter is there. No, it's rabbanon. Rabbinically, you're not permitted to do it. Rabbinically, we're talking about a Torah level. Writing is you form the letter. So a person, let's say, would write a Sefer Torah. Well, let's say similarly a pair of tefillin, mezuzah, or a Torah. Some ink spills on the parchment, and the sofer, rather than erasing it, he takes a blade and he chips away and he forms the letter that's supposed to be in that location. With a blotch of ink fell, with a dribble of ink fell. It's possible. It's not valid because he didn't write that letter. He caused the letter to come about. Okay, that's the halacha. Like on Shabbos, it's not called writing. A get, it says because of sefer krisus. If a get similarly would be written that way, it's not valid. It has to be written. That's called chok tochos. Okay?
What's the issue of erasing?
Mochik. It's one of the Lamites Melachos. But it's mochik hamnas lichtov.
Right.
It's to erase, to make the location available to be written on. Right. But let's say you erase in a way you can't. After you erase, nothing can be written there. Or your intent was not to erase, for the sake of preparing it as a location for writing. It's nothing. It's asum drabanon. It's rabbinically, you're not permitted.
So the one that you have lots of ink and you erase some of that ink.
No, that's not called erasing. You created a letter. You created a letter. No, there's nothing. That's not the provision of erasing. The erasing means you erase to prepare a location for writing. That's the provision of erasing. It's mochik amnas lichtov. For instance, if you demolish a building, right? It's called soser. You're only in violation of soser if it's amnas livnos. It's to prepare a building site. You demolish a building, not I'm just demolish. If you just demolish a building, the building should be demolished. That's called makalkel. That's a destructive act. It has to have a constructive aspect, the action. So what is it a constructive? I'm demolishing to create a setting, a building site to be able to build. It's like korei amnas litfor. When a tailor sews, sometimes he has to cut to be able to, that the stitches should be even. He has to tear the material and then re-sew it. Normally, tearing is makalka, it's destructive, it's not constructive. But if the destructive is to be constructive, that's called constructive, that's not destructive. So we have sosam nas livnos, koream nas litfor, mocheg almanas lichtov. The racing is for the sake of riding. Okay? Rabbinical. It's not simple that you can't, but if in certain situations you can't. If the letters, let's say, are not edible, definitely you can't. And you just cut through the letters. Person has a piece of paper, it says with letters, and you want to tear it open. Right? The halacha is you're permitted to tear, to be mekalkel for ochel nefesh. You have a package. You want to open the package of food on Shabbos. Right? You're permitted. But you're not permitted to tear the letters. What's the provision? When you tear the letters, it's a destructive act. It's rabbinical. It's not on a Torah level. You're destroying letters. No, but again, anything to destroy anything, you're not permitted to destroy. You're destroying a letter. On a Torah level, you can, but rabbinically, you're not permitted. Even something which is not constructive, it's destructive. Rabbinically, you're not permitted to do it. So I'm saying it's only when you're destroying an object. When you talk about destroying the packaging, an object, right? The Gemara speaks about you have a barrel and you break the top off the barrel in a way where you're not creating a kli. You destroy the kli. You're permitted to do it, to open it. That's if you have a cap. You're of the opinion you're not permitted to remove the cap on Shabbos. You put a hole through the cap. So you've destroyed the cap doesn't have value, then you remove the cap and throw away the cap. Right? So that's a destructive, that's called makalkin. It's not called misaki.
Would you or would you not have a birthday cake that says happy birthday? I mean, buy some kind of. I never knew that before.
You shouldn't. See, it's unclear what it is. There's a question, which people were cutting it. You know, years ago, it was the first OU bakery company. It was called Educator Cookies. Remember, there was a company called Educator. I think it was out of Massachusetts. Ellie remembers Educator. So they used to have, it was called Smoky Bear Cookies. They were like chocolate type of cracker cookie, and it had white filling in. And on it had a picture of Smoky Bear, and it said Smoky Bear. So are you permitted to eat these cookies on Shabbos? Because when you bite into the cookie, you're erasing the words Smoky Bear, and it was like imprinted in the cookie. Wait 1 second. Not even the question. Not a question. Not only because it's considered evil, but you obliterating the letters. The answer is there. The letters were baked in. It wasn't applied to the cookie. It was baked in the dough itself. The impression. Everybody agrees that's not mochik. Here you write a letter on the birthday cake. You have the cake, the surface, and using the surface to write. It happens to be the letters are edible. The letters that you write with is edible. So there's a question if those letters would actually naturally dissolve. If they naturally dissolve, according to the sites of Noda Yehuda, you could even cut the letters. It doesn't have any value. The lead has no value. But if they use the type of food, it's a food item that doesn't dissolve naturally. It really would remain there. It's a type of frosting. It's going to remain. It's not so simple. You cut it. That's a letter. So that's actually, it's mochik, by cutting through the letter. So the way they do it today in kosher bakeries, what they do is they have a slab of chocolate. They write on the slab, and you remove the slab. And they eat it afterwards, after Shabbat. Or they have That's why they do it, for that reason. Or they have a piece of cellophane, that they put over the top of the cake, and they write on the cellophane, and when you want to cut the cake, you peel the cellophane off. So when you peel the cellophane off, all the letters are intact on the cellophane, and then you cut the cake. That's how they circumvent this problem.
Can you eat that piece of chocolate with the letters?
You could eat it. You could eat it, because then you're eating that's called eating. You can't cut it with the knife.
So if you cut the cake with the letters on, you eat the letters.
Yeah, but you can't cut it first. You want to destroy the letters through eating, that's called eating. But if you want to use a knife to cut through the letters, that's called obliterating the letters. That's mochik. Rabbinical mochik.
You don't cut the cake. And you just
No. That's breaking with your hands or cutting with knives is the same thing. You're right. Many years ago, before they had, before it became more sophisticated, today all fruits have a label on it with a computer code, and whatever it is. A watermelon, seedless with all the information on it. Organic, the whole yichus of the watermelon, okay? Down to the migrant worker, illegal guy who picked it, okay? So, but at one time, years ago, you'd have watermelons, and somebody went like with a magic marker, marked the outside of the watermelon. It said a number on it, said something on it. So when you cut through the watermelon rind, you're cutting through the letter. There was writing on the outside of the watermelon rind.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to be careful years ago when you cut the watermelon that you didn't cut through the letters. So we used to do years ago, before Shabbos, take a magic marker and just obliterate it. You obliterate it. So if you obliterate it, so Shabbos, you don't have to worry about how you cut the rind. You just cut straight through the rind, wherever it may be.
Sorry, help on this. What's the difference between if I'm eating a piece of cake that has lettering on it and I'm using a fork and knife to...
Because one's called eating and the other's called you're actually obliterating with your hand. That's the difference. Cut it. That's also correct. No, it's imprinted. Imprinted is less of a problem than if it's written. Written it's a separate letter. That's part of chocolate. Yeah, that's the food itself. Okay. Okay. Let's see the chovos levavos. Yeah, very nice.
You had to say before written that so we came from the black cloth. The option for a thinner cloth is said to be lighter. That's what we got.
It's better quality. A thinner cloth. But it's based on not because it's split or not, whether it's calf, it's an older cow or a younger cow. That's what it's based upon. The Sifrei Torah we have here they're very light, the ones we have here. Of course, they're very the quality Sifrei Torah. The Sifrei Torah we have here are over $50,000, $65,000 Sifrei Torah because it's made with the best quality cloth. That's why it's so light. In Europe, you have the European Sifrei Torah. They not only are the Eitz Chaim is very heavy, the parchment is very thick parchment. It's nearly impossible to lift some of them. Out of Russia, these. What? Parchments, yeah. Was it thick? What? No. I mean, firstly, the Eitz Chaim are much thicker, but even if you put lighter ones, the cloth is a much thicker cloth.
They never had the technology to split it.
No, they always had the technology. Always.